Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's What's New in Monday CRM webinar. My name is Omer, and I'm a training and certifications partner here at monday.com, and I'm a part of the Monday Academy team. Thank you all for joining. We're going to take 2 more minutes before we start as people are still joining. In the meantime, I'd love to know a little bit more about you guys and the industries we have here today. Please write your name, where you're from, and the industry you work in the chat box. While we're waiting, I'll also say that today's webinar will be broken down into 2 parts. The first half will be a demo of the new Monday CRM capabilities as well as new platform features. This part is pre-recorded to ensure everything runs smoothly and you get the most out of it. But worry not, we're here during the entire webinar to answer your questions. The second half will be a live Q&A during which we'll answer additional questions and demonstrate a few more cool options and features. You should be able to see the screen, but if you can't hear me or see the screen at any point, just let us know in the chat. Okay, it's time to get going, and great to see people from so many companies and places. And now that I know you better, just a little bit about me. I started my journey with monday.com over 5 years ago. I never thought I'd work in tech before I worked in education and was even intimidated by technology, believe it or not. Since joining Monday, I've improved my ability to identify pain points, and I enjoy improving processes and finding technological solutions. And I guess that's something common to many of us here today, and we'll see how the new features and capabilities can make things even easier and faster. That's also why we have the Monday Academy. Our mission is to empower our customers with the knowledge and skills they need to make the most out of the platform through learning programs, certifications, and of course, sessions like this one. And with all that in mind, here's what we'll cover today. We kick things off with a short intro. Shortly, we'll jump straight into the newest Monday CRM capabilities. Paul from the CRM team will demo the updates, show how they work, and explain how you can use them to streamline your sales processes. Next, Shaked from the customer experience team will share what's new across the broader Monday platform. Features that benefit not just CRM users, but any team using Monday to manage their work. After that, we'll open things up for a live Q&A where you can ask us anything about the features presented here today. Finally, we'll wrap up with key takeaways and resources to help you start using the new capabilities right away. But first, just a few quick housekeeping notes. If we ask a question, feel free to respond in the chat. If you have any questions at any time during the session, just pop them into the Q&A box and not into the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as possible today, but if we don't get to yours, you can always reach out to our support team 24/7. In case you're not sure how, we'll show how to do that towards the end of this session. And with that, I'm excited to hand things over to Paul Mendez, a senior solutions engineer here at monday.com, who will walk us through the latest Monday CRM features and capabilities. Paul, take it away.
All right, thank you, Omer. And good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul Mendez. I'm a solution engineer here at Monday. Work primarily with our CRM teams and with our CRM product. I've been at Monday for about over a year, and I've seen a lot of exciting changes with the product and happy to showcase them for you here today. And I've been in the tech space my entire career and spent about 10 of those in the CRM world. So happy to be here showcasing some of our new features for Monday CRM today. So we should see right here on your screen the Monday CRM product. And I'm going to start off with some new changes we've made to leads. So now when we key in new leads into Monday CRM, we now have a new capability to automatically assign these leads to the right people. So when Joe Smith gets added to my lead board, we'll see with just in a few moments, he'll be automatically assigned to a sales rep. Now, how is this working? We've launched a new round robin capability that will allow you to define your sales teams by as many people as you need. And then Monday will automatically route the new leads to the different reps in that team, making sure the workload is equal and balanced. So if I take a look at how this is going to work, we have automation set up for round robin. And we can see here it's just a simple automation, just like you would do with any other automation you created Monday. When a new record is created, or really any other condition that you like, we can then assign available people from really any team that we have in our Monday account, so sales reps, sales managers, East Coast sales team, West Coast sales team, to any person column on our board. Okay, and so that'll automate the routing of those reps. And if we take a look as well, we have several automation recipes you can take advantage of specifically for round robin. So if you do a search, you'll see our round robin package, and this is available to all of our Monday CRM customers, where you can use this round robin routing really for any sort of change on your lead record. When a lead changes status from, let's say, contact to qualified, when a certain date arrives, like a follow-up date, we can automatically assign them to someone else on a team, or even when a button is clicked. So a lot of flexibility in how you can take advantage of this round robin capability. And again, this is taking a lot of manual work off your team's plate for work assignments, and also making sure that the workload is balanced among your sales team. Now, outside of that, in terms of a new feature we've added, we've also included the activities timeline column. So it's a new column type that you can take from the column center. And what this activities timeline column does is it will show you over the past 45 days, what sort of engagement have you had with this particular lead. The blue tiles indicate outbound communications, and the pink indicates inbound. And if you mouse over, you'll see exactly what those communications were. So when it was sent, who did it, and the type of interaction that it was. And so previous to this column feature, there wasn't a great way from the board level to see exactly what sort of engagement you've had with a contact in your CRM. Now you can see that in just a glance from the board and figure out which ones are most important to prioritize. Now, in addition to that, we've also added a sequences column. So this is also available in our column center and can be added to any board that you like in Monday CRM. And this will now give you a quick glance directly from the board level, exactly what sequences this lead is on. So again, previous to this column, there was not a terribly easy way to see this from the board level. You would have had to drill into the item card view to see what entries were on the emails and activities timeline. Now, in addition to that, we can add sequences from the board. And another enhancement we've made is now, just in addition to adding them to the sequence, we can also choose exactly what step in the sequence we want to add them to. So previously, you could just say add them to a nurture sequence. That was that. Now you can say, well, which step in the nurture sequence do I want to add them to? Have I already spoken to this individual? Perhaps I want to move them forward in that process and put them into the middle of the sequence so they're only getting relevant communications. So you can do that directly from the board level. Another great time saver and another great way to personalize how you interact and engage with your leads. Okay. Now, if I drill into sequences, we've made several other enhancements as well on the sequence side. The first notable one is we've added search and filters. So as you set up a lot of different sequences in your Monday CRM account, you can now quickly search and find the ones that you need to update or work on easily with the search. And you can also add a filter where you can look at all the ones that are active versus inactive, ones that have been created by different individuals on your team, or if you're interested in finding only the ones that you own, you can do that, as well as which boards are they tied to. So much easier to find your sequences for update and management when you're working with a lot that have been set up in your Monday CRM account. Now, if I drill into a sequence, another change we've made is the ability to rename the steps. So previously, if I was adding a step to a sequence, I can choose from automatic email, manual email, general task, and call task, but I could not rename these labels. But now, when I add a new entry, as you can see here, this was originally an automatic email step. I've now renamed it to say welcome email. So this is helpful for the sales reps when they're reviewing their leads to see exactly where they are in the sequence and get some descriptions about where they are in the process, as well as when you're setting up, understanding what's going on within each step. And just like always, when you click on here, on the right pane, you'll see exactly the details of the interaction that you've set up for this particular sequence. Now, in addition, we've also added a drag and drop capability. So previously, you used to have to recreate a whole sequence if you needed to reorder things. Now you can simply drag and drop and say, well, that welcome email should be step 2 instead of step 1. So another great enhancement from the administrative perspective, so it's easier to take care of and update all your sequences. Now, if I go into rules and notifications, we've also added several new settings here around interaction and removal rules. So now as you engage with your contacts and your leads via a sequence, you can choose when they should be taken out of a sequence in a more automated fashion. It doesn't have to be as much manual upkeep here. So I can remove contacts from sequences if they reply to an email in the sequence. I can remove contacts from a sequence if they open any email in whatever step of my sequence they like, if they bounce, even down to if I get an auto reply. And all you have to do is check off and uncheck which ones you want to apply. And then you can even specify what status they should go into or what information should change on that lead record as a result of them being removed from the sequence. So in this case, I can say when someone replies to a sequence email, I want to change their status to, let's say, qualified automatically on the board. So another manual step that is now being automated for you by these settings. We've also added unsubscribe control. So previously, if someone was on a sequence, there was no way for them to opt out and saying, I don't want to be on this sequence. I don't want to receive communications from your organization. We now can support that. And we've got a global unsubscribe list and an unsubscribe from this sequence. The main difference here is if someone's on the global unsubscribe list, that means they don't want to receive communications from any sequence. And if they choose unsubscribe from the sequence, this is very specific to if they're on a nurture sequence or if they're on a custom development sequence. So specific to the sequence that they're on, they can opt out of just one versus all. So we're giving customers flexibility here to choose to receive just some communications from us or not receive any at all. Now jumping over to enrollments, the enhancement we've made here is visibility from an administrative perspective. This shows me all of the leads or contacts that are in my sequence. And previously, I could see what step they were at, but I couldn't get the details. But now if I mouse over, I can quickly see exactly what steps they've gone through, what they've completed, and what's upcoming with all the information and the details about what's contained within that step. So again, better visibility for administrators and the sales reps who are managing these sequences. Okay, so that's everything from the lead side that's changed that I wanted to highlight today. Now I'm going to jump over to opportunities and take a look at the changes that we've made here on the opportunity side of the house. So the first one is, we'll notice that we've added a new icon. And you'll see a number 6 here. If I scroll down the board, we'll see that some of these items have a number 6 or number 9. And essentially what this is telling me as a sales rep is for this particular deal, there are 6 communications and emails and activities that I haven't read yet. Okay, so previous to this icon, there was no easy way to know if I'd read the communications that were in there. I'd have to drill into the item card view and take a look manually. Now it's going to let me know there's 6 things that I haven't looked at yet, and that'll prompt me to drive into the record and then review those changes so I can be up to date on all my latest deals. Now, in addition, we've also added the ability to read emails and activities from AI. So if I go ahead and I add a column, let's go ahead and add an AI column. And let's do a custom AI prompt. So the AI blocks have worked really well to look at data on our board, but they didn't work so well in terms of reviewing emails and activities. So now what we've done is we have added the option to use emails and activities in our AI blocks. So I can pull that in, and then I can give it a prompt to say, review emails and activities, and highlight the most important one for the sales reps. So this will bring the most important communication directly to the board level for sales rep to review and then strategize on how they want to work that deal. Now let's drill into our opportunities. Okay, so this is our Op 360 where we get all the information we need to manage a deal cycle, our deal stages, our to-do items, emails and activities. And some of the enhancements we've made here is we now have the ability to schedule meetings. So previously you might have had to do this in Outlook and it would not necessarily directly sync into your Monday CRM tool. Now you can schedule them directly from Monday CRM without having to jump into your email platform. So if I hit schedule meeting, you'll see it's going to give me a real-time view into my calendar. All I have to do is select the time frame that I want, enter the details just as I would in my calendar, specify the time, include attendees, and I can find anyone in my Monday account if I want to include additional participants, and I can go ahead and save that event. Okay. And now that'll show up on my timeline. So this is just adding to what the sales reps can do from CRM, reducing that swivel chair effect, and allowing them to centralize all the key engagement they need to understand what's going on in a deal cycle and figure out the best next steps. Now, we've also added our note taker here. And so when I schedule meetings, we also will now automatically add our note taker. And this is AI driven as well. And this will actually join the calls and it'll record everything that's discussed on a conversation. So when I come to my note taker pane, I can see all the meetings that are scheduled, that are upcoming, where my note taker is going to be joining. And I can see all the prior meetings I've had and what we've discussed. If I drill into any one of these records, I'll now get a great transcription of what the call was about. On the right, I'll see all the topics broken down. So it'll segment my meeting out so I can figure out which area I might want to focus on. And for each area of the meeting, I'll see what AI identified as the most important thing that was discussed. So I can really get down to what's critical for me to understand as I'm working my deals. The call will also be recorded here, and you can play that call at any time to go back and watch if for some reason you do want to get into the details. You have a complete transcript, so every last word that was mentioned in the call is available for review, and you could download that to your desktop if you need to. And you also get a participant summary, so you can see who's talking the most. And maybe if your sales reps aren't talking enough on calls or talking too little, you can use this as a coaching tool. And then lastly, we've got AI baked into this where you can ask any question about the meeting to quickly get to the information you need in that session. So for example, what is the meeting about? What are the next steps, etc. And if you ask that question, AI will then do some thinking and it'll read that transcript I just showed a moment ago and it'll tell you exactly what your next steps are. Now, the nice thing about this note taker also is that this meeting will also be thrown onto your emails and activities timeline. So you don't necessarily have to leave your opportunity screen or your lead record or your contact record. That'll all be available seamlessly within the emails and activities timeline so that all of your engagement and meetings are centralized on each of your CRM records. So let's jump back over to opportunities. So in addition to the scheduling meetings, we've made some changes to the emails activities timeline. So the summarize feature has now been enhanced. So this will read through all the entries on my emails and activities timeline, every phone call, every meeting, every note I've logged. But what used to happen is the AI summary would kind of just give a paragraph blurb. What you'll see now is it's broken down into categories that are meaningful and relevant to a sales rep. So tell me what the most recent communication was. Tell me the general summary of the whole timeline. Tell me the deal status. Tell me the participants. So it's a lot easier for the sales rep to read and make sense of all the data in their timeline so they can figure out how they want to action this particular deal. Now we've also enhanced the emails and activities timeline with a search capability. So now I can search for any entry. I don't have to review every item. And so this is particularly valuable when you have a lot of interactions with a customer and you want to get down to one specific call or meeting. You can quickly find it. And we've also added a filter. So previously you couldn't filter through all the data. Now I can say, just show me the emails, just show me the calls, so I can focus on the interaction types that are important to me and help me find what I need when I'm working this deal. Now we also have deal insights. So this is a new widget that's available, and this is also AI driven. So previously there wasn't a great way to understand what the risk was on any given deal. Now deal insights will automatically analyze all the data on your opportunity, and it'll tell you where it finds the risk. And it'll also tell you positive and negative signals. So it's not just going to tell you where things aren't going well, it's also going to tell you where things are going well, and that way you can more accurately forecast. So you'll see here, there's some negative signal examples telling me there's not enough contacts, customers are not replying to my communications, and I've got no scheduled next steps. So this is really important for a sales rep to see so they can figure out where there are gaps in their deal and why this might not get done. Now you've got the thumbs up and the thumbs down so that you can tell AI if this was helpful or not, and it'll learn from your feedback and make sure to get smarter, and it'll work specifically for your business and how you like to sell. And then it's also extremely configurable. So if I go in here to the settings, I can come in and say, okay, what opportunity stages do I want this deal insight to kick in for? And so in this case, I'll say, well, lost deals, I don't care about the deal insights, it's already lost, so we can apply that setting. And then we can go down and review the positive signals to start. And we can configure this to work how we like to sell. So what does high engagement mean in my organization? Here it says 14 days, but let's say for my company, we don't talk to our customers that often. We have a longer sales cycle. I can extend this to say 30 days. And I can go ahead and start tweaking all the settings accordingly. And just some examples of what's out here. High engagement, as we see here. Scheduled next step. Is this applicable? Yes or no? I can turn it off if it's not a fit for my business and what we care about for risk, or I can flip it on. Multi-threaded context. Are we advancing in our deal stages? And then if we go down to the bottom, we can also see some of the negative signals here. So when are no decision makers involved? When do we not have enough contacts? But you can tell this to work exactly for your business to surface the risks that are relevant to your team and help you close more deals. Now, outside of Deal Insights, we've also launched the CRM Sidekick. So for those of you who are also work management customers, you may be familiar with Sidekick. We've created a tailored version specifically for the CRM solution that is going to be more aligned to CRM use cases and what sales reps, sales managers, and really anyone in a sales function care about. And so I can open my Sidekick and I can ask my Sidekick any question I want about my deal. Okay, so I don't necessarily have to review all the information in the cycle. It's going to give you some great suggestions here. So do you need my help drafting a follow-up email? AI will do that for you. Do you need me preparing a template? It'll do that for you. Do you need me to summarize your deal? It can do that for you. Do you want to list some onboarding steps? These are suggestions. You can ask it whatever you like. I can say, what is the probability this deal closes? Let's say I want to figure out how I have the next conversation with my sales manager about the progress of this deal. I can use AI to help me accelerate understanding where this deal actually stands. And it'll start to do some thinking. And within a few moments, it'll kind of give me its recommendations again by analyzing everything there on the opportunity record. Similar to Deal Insights, you can give it a thumbs up or thumbs down so you can help AI get smarter and work specifically to your business. But the Sidekick is going to be a really powerful tool for sales reps to save time, sell smarter, and also figure out where they can improve their sales techniques to be more effective and close more deals. Now, something else that's new is products. So we've had quotes and invoices out for a bit, but what we've recently launched is our product widget. So now what you can do is before you get to the quoting stage of an opportunity, you can easily start to track the products your customer is interested in, maybe the prices you discussed and the quantities. So you guys can start to understand what we think will sell to this customer. And then when we get to quoting stage, all that work's already done. I don't have to restart that. It'll just drive seamlessly into my quote. So for the products widget here, you just add it to any view that you like. You can then have it look at any board you want in CRM. So there is a new products and services board, and we'll take a look at that in a moment. But you can choose wherever you like, and then you can choose the mapping. So what information do I want to take from that board to bring onto the opportunity here? I can bring over the name, the price, description, etc. And now that has been connected. And then you'll see when I want to add a product, I'll have my whole product catalog coming over from that board. So I can go ahead and add an entry. I can then go ahead and edit this entry and say, I want to, let's say, charge a little bit less than list price. I want to increase the quantity. This is what I discussed with the customer. And already we're talking about a 3% discount. I have a feeling that's what I'm going to need to do to get the deal done. So I can log that and track it here. Okay. And now if I jump back, here's the products and services board. This is brand new. So previously you would have had to create your own products and service board. Now it comes out of the box and you can customize this and configure it as you like. It works just like any other board in Monday. We're going to give you some baseline columns that make sense for a products and services board, but you can tailor this as you like. And as you saw just a moment ago, you can then link it to your opportunities and that products widget so you can link all the products and services you sell to the opportunities. Now back to our products widget. Let's assume we make some progress in this deal and we're getting to the point we want to create a quote. Now I used to have to return to the quotes and invoice tab. Now we have a button where you can create quotes directly from the product screen. So we're saving some clicks for the team and we can jump right into our quotes and invoices tool. I can select whatever template I like and we have several available. You can create as many as you need and you can also search the template so you can easily find the one that's relevant for your particular opportunity. And you can also create new ones on the fly as you need for unique customer needs. Let's go ahead and select default quote. And now here we're also going to see another brand new feature CRM. So we put a lot of work into our quotes and invoice editor. We got a lot of feedback from our customers on what was working and what wasn't. And one thing we heard pretty clearly was that there was a lot of back and forth needed for sales reps. If I create a quote, I need to make a change. Well, I need to go back and update the template. So that's no more now. We now have a brand new quote editor. And so you can see here, I should be able to now update everything I need directly from this one screen and one transaction and get my quotes out the door. So I can choose what opportunity it's linked to. It's going to default to the one I created from, but if I need to switch it, I can easily do that from the screen. I can choose recipients, and this will determine who shows up in my recipient column on the quote. I can take it from any board I want in CRM. So you have complete flexibility there, and you could tweak this as you create the quote. And then once you link the board, you'll see all those contacts from the board. So I can select who I need and then save them and make them available. And you'll see that that individual gets added directly onto the quote. We also can choose different product catalogs. So again, it's going to link to the one by default that you've connected to your product widget. But if you need to change that, if you need to look at some other services for this quote, again, it's not a matter of leaving the quote editor and recreating a new quote. You can now do it directly from this quote creation screen. So you can select any board you like to bring in different products and services. Now on the right-hand side, you'll now see we have new edit capabilities. So I can change the quote title, include any unique identifiers I need. I can go in here and I can add additional fields, and you'll see all the boards that I've linked. I can now pull any information from those boards directly into the quote. So now that I've connected a certain contact board, well, if there's information I need from that contact board, like a job title or a role, I can simply pull that in, and you'll see it'll tell you actually what the value is, and you can make sure you want to include it, and then it'll get added onto your template. So you can go ahead and add this for the contacts, for opportunities, and you can even add free text if you want to add descriptions or anything that'll be helpful for your customer to understand the quote. Okay. This all previously was not anything you could do directly within the editor. You would have had to create a brand new template, so it's a huge time saver. The same goes on the from side. You can change really any column here, so I can rename this to say products. I can reorder my products from the quote based upon what I think is a priority for the customer. I can add new quotes directly here, and it's going to pull in from my product catalog. Okay, so the editor is significantly more dynamic than it used to be. And I can update any of these columns as I need as well. The price, the SKU, the quantity, the adjustments. We can also add adjustments on the fly. So if I want to add a new discount, add a new fee, or add a new tax, it can all be done directly from here. I don't have to create a new quote template like I used to. And then we've also added several new settings. So if I want to change the currency on this quote, I can do it. If I want to remove the logo or add an expiration date, we can now see that's added, and I can select my date. I can add a payment button, which will include a link so a customer can directly pay this quote and invoice. Okay, this is all brand new and all a significant enhancement to our quotes and invoices tool. And then, like the old way, you can preview and save it as usual, but it should be a big time saver that you can now dynamically edit all the quote details from this single pane here. Okay. Now, the next thing I'd like to show you is, so we've added a new way to manage organizational hierarchies in CRM. So we've added a new board. It's called the company hierarchy. And what you'll see now is previously you could have an account board with one record, and you could set up connected columns to set up relationships, but now you can set up a true hierarchy of accounts. So if you have a customer account like Acme Corp, and they have a US, EMEA, and APAC division, you can now represent that in a hierarchical fashion. I can then drill in and indicate what departments live within that division, and so on, all the way down to 5 levels of hierarchy. So really robust support for working with much larger customers and more complicated organizations. It's now much easier to create that mapping and track those relationships in Monday. Everything else on this board works just like a standard Monday board, but what I will point out is we have roll-ups. So there are certain columns like numerical columns, date columns, status columns that we will roll up. So for example, account ARR, it will look at all of these Acme codes in the hierarchy and then summarize those at the top to tell you what our total is across the whole relationship, and then what the total value of the relationship is at each individual division. And if for some reason you don't want that, you can go ahead and turn off that roll up, but most folks leave it on because it is valuable. And then we also have the last activity piece. It's going to work the same way. It's going to look at all the last activity across all the different divisions, and then the most recent one will get highlighted at the top. So that way, without having to go through that whole hierarchy, you can kind of get a sense for where you might need to touch these customer relationships. Okay, so this is a brand new feature. Again, you could not store 5 levels hierarchy previously in Monday. You can now fully support that with our company hierarchy board. And then I think the last thing I want to touch on today is reporting. We've added a few new widgets specifically for CRM. And the first you're seeing right here, so we call it a gauge widget. You can add it directly here from your reporting tab. So you've got gauge, and activity tracker is the other new one that we'll take a look at today. So here's our annual target gauge. This is a great way to track progress towards a certain KPI or number. Before, we were easily able to add, let's say, a numbers widget and say what our total number was, but it wasn't able to say how we were progressing, and there wasn't a nice visual indicator for it. So now this widget is designed exactly for that. If I go into my settings, I have some options for how I want this to look in terms of the progress bar. I can then set my values and the labels. So, the actual title and annual target title, I can change that to attainment or target metric, whatever I need it to say. And then I can select exactly what column from my board I want to be tracking as a KPI. And so in this case, I'm doing deal value. You can track forecast, you can track pipeline, you can track number of calls, a lot of flexibility to how you might want to use this metric. You then have your target value, and this is where you set up what will show down here in the right-hand corner. So what is the goal for the KPI? And that's totally dynamic. And then you can also indicate if you don't want this to be a sum calculation, if you want it to be an average or a count. You have control over the colors. You have control over hiding the labels. And then just like all Monday widgets, you can also indicate which boards or which groups should factor into what's being calculated on this visual. Okay, so this is the gauge widget and a great way to track progress to your KPIs. Previously not something we could do with a single widget. And then now we also have our activities reporting widget. Okay, and so what this will actually show you, and actually I'd like to show you this in another account. Yeah, so here's our activities widget. And so what this will allow you to do is to look at all the engagement your team is doing. So all the calls, all the meetings, all the notes, and look at this across your sales team. So it's a brand new widget specifically designed for identifying who's being productive as a rep and what actual work are they doing to support the sales process. Previously, it wasn't super easy to visualize this in one metric. You'd have to do some workarounds to report on this, but now this widget is designed to kind of solve for that gap that we had. So you can specify your time frame to be either 7 days of activity tracking, 30 days, or a custom time frame. So you can choose any period. It could be a month, a week, a quarter, whatever you need for your reporting. You can then choose to look at the engagement across any one of your entity boards in CRM. So contacts, leads, opportunities, or accounts. And then you can go ahead and add filters as well. So if I come in here to the settings, we can see we have some different options for how we want to visualize this. So I can change it to be a bar or a stack bar or a vertical column. And then I can also choose on my axes what I want to be measuring. So right now we support activity creator and type across the two. And then you can determine how you want that to be shown on the widget. But we're planning to add more options here for filters in the near future. Okay. And so that is the activity widget. And I think that is the summary of everything I wanted to highlight. So I think if we kind of look at everything we covered today, we had a lot of enhancements to how we do lead routing and then doing automatic engagement with sequences. So a lot of improvements on that front. And then on the opportunity side, a lot with AI, right? We've got the deal insights widget. We've improved the email and activity summary, as well as providing that CRM expert that is AI specific, as well as some tweaks and improvements to how you can measure and report on your data and get to your key KPIs for CRM. But I think that's everything I had to cover. So Omar, I think I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much for the presentation and walkthrough. Great insights as always. All right, now it's time to expand and look at the newest enhancements across the entire Monday platform. For that, I'm excited to hand things over to Shaked Salem, a customer experience manager here at Monday. Shaked, the stage is yours.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our new features webinar. Thank you all for joining. I'm Shaked from the customer experience team, and I'm really excited to walk us through some new features on the platform. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Okay, let's start with how we create our items. We're introducing the ability to create item by card. Previously, when we opened up a new board and clicked on New Item, we had only the option to add a new item directly to the table. Now, on boards with lots of columns, it can be difficult to chase fields across the screen. The new card-based creation offers us a structured, easy-to-navigate creation flow that brings all relevant fields into one clean view. Simply enable the feature from the board settings. And we can now, when we click on New Item, it'll open the item card with all your columns in view, just like so there's no need to scroll. Keep in mind that the table flow isn't going anywhere. Board owners can toggle this setting on or off from the board settings, which means that the choice lives on the board level. Enabling it for one board will not enable it for others, and each team will be able to choose the creation flow that best fits their process. Cool. Now let's go ahead and talk about our new granular board notifications. We understand how challenging notification overload can be, but muting boards entirely would lead us to miss important updates. With granular board notifications, each user will have control at the board level. Let's go ahead and navigate over to our board notifications. Now, under the Custom section, you can choose exactly which notifications you want to receive from each board. Mentions, assigned items, or automations, all individually toggled. Keep in mind that these settings override global settings, meaning each user can mute automation notifications on one board while keeping them active on another, for example. Now let's go ahead and talk about a new feature that we have to create a board view with an AI prompt. So we know that starting from a blank reporting view can sometimes be challenging. We're not sure which widget to use or which chart type would make the most sense. Now with our new prompt-based board creation, we can go ahead and generate a complete editable reporting view in seconds. Let's go ahead and add a new view. And now we can simply describe what we want to understand. Monday AI will build a dashboard-style board view using the charts, battery, and numbers widget. For example, we can ask it to show us task status and overdue tasks by owner. Next, we'll want to click on Generate. Now, keep in mind that AI will be taking this process of creating and configuring widgets and generating an output in seconds. I'll show you the result here, as this is another view I built using the same prompt. We have a complete reporting view, including a battery widget displaying overall task status, a pie chart showing us task status distribution, which is another way of visualizing the progress. We also have a numbers chart, which is clearly stating the number of overdue tasks, and we have a bar chart showing us overdue tasks by owner. Amazing. Let's go ahead and talk about the new and revamped AI Summarizer for updates. Now, many of us are familiar with the experience of coming back to a board and finding that there are many new updates waiting to be reviewed. Scrolling through long threads just to understand what changed can be challenging and time-consuming. Our previous version of the AI Summarizer helped by summarizing individual updates, but we understood that this is not always enough. We're now expanding summarization to entire update threads, turning long discussions into clear, actionable recaps. Let's go ahead and look at this example. When I click on an item and I want a quick recap of the updates, I can simply click on the Summarize button here and summarize the entire thread. We'll give it a moment to create a summary, and we'll now get a summary that includes key participants, main topics, decisions made, and any links or files that were shared. Not only that, but you'll be able to reply directly to the summary. It also introduces cross-lingual support, letting you translate summaries in a click, which is perfect for global collaboration. Now let's go ahead and navigate over to our form. So forms are one of the most universal ways that teams collect information, but different teams have different language needs. That's why we're introducing AI form translations. Form submitters can now translate an entire form into their preferred language. We'll open up our settings here, and under Edit Form, we'll navigate to our settings, and we want to make sure that AI Translate Form with AI is toggled on. Now, when form submitters access the shared link, they'll have the option to choose from up to 50 languages. We can see over here, when I click on Translate, I'm able to select my preferred language. This feature makes forms more universally accessible, it removes the operational overhead, and it helps global teams work as one, no matter the language. And while we're already talking about making forms easier to work with, we've also improved the way that you can add questions. Let's head back to the form editor. We can see now that when we're adding new questions, you'll see a question minimap and a question bank. This will give you a clean visual way to browse all available question types. From the question menu, you can simply click on the checkbox next to the question type that you want and select Add to Form. Now we have our newly added question. This way, we get a quick overview of everything available and can add what we need in just a couple of clicks, making building forms smoother and more intuitive. Let's move on to the Workflow Builder. we have a couple of exciting new features that will change the way we work with docs. Specifically, we're adding an action block to create a workspace doc. We know that docs are a central place for strategy, briefs, meeting notes, and everything in between. While work repeats, manual document creation flows can slow us down. With the new Create Doc action, docs can now be created automatically, whether triggered by a status change, an item creation, or a date arrival. For example, if you know you want to kick off Brief Doc each time you start a new task, you can now add the simple workflow. When a new item is created, create a workspace doc. When we click on this block, we can see that we can go ahead and select the doc name, the privacy, and the workspace that we want to work in. Amazing. Now, from this moment on, every new task or project item in the board employee onboarding plan will automatically spin up a new doc. And we can go ahead and test it out here. And we'll go ahead and see that a new doc will be created. Perfect. So now we've also upgraded the workflow builder with a second feature as well. Our new action to add content to doc. Let's go ahead and navigate to our second workflow. This block allows teams to automatically insert text, data, or structured content into an existing doc based on triggers in their workflows. Whether it's capturing form inputs, adding a weekly summary, or appending key details from an item, you can now automate updates to your docs just like any other part of your process. So in our current workflow, we have when status changes, let's add content to the kickoff brief to populate the latest data. For example, when the status changes to done, we'd like to see that the item has status done. Let's go ahead and test this out and change our status to done. Now, it should update our kickoff brief doc with an update on the item. No more manual copying, missed updates, and your team always works from the latest snapshot. Now, let's go ahead and navigate over to another workspace. As your teams begin to scale, you're likely to have boards, dashboards, and docs that are outdated, but it can be hard to know where to start when cleaning up. As a workspace owner, you may have to manually review dozens or even hundreds of boards, which can be overwhelming. With AI cleanup suggestions, workspace owners can now enter a dedicated cleanup mode that automatically surfaces the items most likely to be irrelevant or unused. When I turn on this cleanup mode, the system will filter to show only boards and assets flagged by AI signals. For example, long-term inactivity, low engagement, or even assets without an owner. Each suggestion includes a clear rationale so you understand why it's being recommended. From there, you can go ahead and archive, delete, or view the board and review whether or not you'd like to keep it. Amazing. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up our webinar today with something really exciting. Monday Vibe. Monday Vibe is our AI-powered app builder that turns a simple prompt into a fully custom secure business app. It uses Vibe coding, and instead of writing code, you describe what you need, and AI will generate the entire app for you. Now, we can go ahead and access it through a board view by clicking on Add View and then Build App from Scratch, or we can go ahead and navigate to monday.com/vibe. To help you get started, we created a guide for best prompting practices. We recommend writing what you're building, who is it for, the tasks it will do, and how will it look and feel. Now, we have great templates to choose from down here, and let's go ahead and use a template to build a sales dashboard. I'm going to go ahead and share this prompt that I've prepared, and remember again, when we click Build It, AI is going to build us a fully functional app, and generation can take 3 to 6 minutes. So I'll just go ahead and show you the finished result over here. And we can see that because this wasn't linked to a board, AI first created a board for us to use. And then we're able to see in our app live metrics as well as Kanban style usage tracking. Now, say you want to edit or customize a custom app that was built by Monday Vibe. Once your first iteration has been built, remember that you can edit or customize what you've already built by simply typing in the chat box. For example, you can add filters, switch to dark mode, or add a chart. We recommend starting small, building iteratively, and remember to be specific. You can always come back and edit what you've built later. And this begins our wrap up for our new features webinar. I really appreciate you all joining today, and remember that this is just the start. I recommend taking the time to explore and really dive into these features because there's a lot to learn and a lot you can build with monday.com. Thank you all so much for joining today, and with that, I'll pass it back to Omer to help us conclude.
Thank you so much, Shaked. It's definitely exciting to see how these platform updates can enhance the way teams work across Monday. I'll also say that a lot of the features you mentioned are covered in extensive webinars we have in the Monday Academy, so you can either sign up live and have the Q&A option as well, or just see it on demand. As you can see, we have Monday Vibe designated webinars, so you can definitely watch those as well if you're interested. And without further ado, we'll now open the floor for your questions in our live Q&A. So we'll now take a sip of water and start our live Q&A part of the webinar.